to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to RPtv. Today is Thursday, March 31st, 2022. The war in Ukraine continues to drag on, and although it has been tough for the Ukrainian people, they are not ready to concede. They just need more help. Julian has the details.
Ukrainian President Zelensky recently said that his country's defense was at a turning point and pressed countries like the United States for more help. The Russians have been recently attacking Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, along with northern cities, and now Ukrainians are attempting another evacuation of the port city of Mariupol. Civilians have since avoided the worst of the damage of the attacks. Talks are to be resumed Friday by video, according to the head of the Ukrainian delegation. A group of lawmakers visited Washington, D.C. on Wednesday to push for more support, asking for more military support and harsher sanctions against Russia. Zelensky brought the case directly to Biden in his nightly video to Ukraine and also thanked the U.S. for additional $500 million for aid that was announced yesterday. Russia said Tuesday that it will de-escalate operations near the capital, hoping to create mutual trust and conditions for further negotiations.
Recent studies have determined that the efficacy of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is not as strong as the others. So the CDC is promoting the mRNA booster. Callie has the details.
Americans who received the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine are less protected against serious illnesses and hospitalization and should get an mRNA booster. The CDC found in a new study. The Centers for Disease Control Prevention found that Johnson & Johnson vaccines of efficacy lags behind vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna. This report is just one of the many blows to Johnson & Johnson, who made mistake after mistake since their coronavirus vaccine in February 2021. The effectiveness of its single-dose shot in preventing hospitalization was only 31%, the CDC revealed. 2 shots would rise to 67%. However, if one were to mix doses, it would rise to 78%. However, those who got 3 doses of the mRNA vaccine have a 90% protection. The 31% efficacy is too low, especially in this world where we have access to other things, Natalie E. Dean, a biostatistician at Emory University's Rollins School of Public Health, said. One priority is making sure that people who only received 1 dose are aware that they should go and get preferably a messenger RNA vaccine.
Now it's time for announcements. Anime Club is holding a spiritware sale. To place an order, see an Anime Club member. Cash or checks made payable to RPHS can be sent to Miss Amoroso. All orders are due by the end of the day on April 7th. Social Awareness Spirit Week. The week of April 4th to 8th, the district will hold our annual SE-Celebration with Spirit Week and culminating with a family movie night on Friday the 8th at 5:30 p.m. at RPMS. Crisis Center applications for the 2022-23 school year are available to rising juniors and seniors in the class of 2023 and 2024 Google Classroom. All applications are due by April 8th. Class of 2025 cookie dough will be delivered April 7th. If you have a large order, make sure to arrange transportation. All orders must be picked up in the cafeteria at the end of the school day. Come and enjoy a Spanish movie with the Spanish Club today, 2:45 p.m. in room 5. See Ms. Almanzar with any questions. SAS will be meeting in room 5 after school on April 5th to decorate flower pots for Mother's Day arrangements. The arrangements will be donated to the Castellano Center. See Ms. Almanzar if you have any questions. The Art Club Club/NAHS will be selling souvenirs for the musical Willy Wonka. There will be a table in the hall during performances. Art Club/NAHS will not meet this Friday, but will meet the following Friday for a celebration party. Schools in Camden, New Jersey were caught off guard yesterday as many students became ill. It was later determined that the milk the school was providing was contaminated. Let's go back to Julian for that story.
Dozens of Camden students were sent to local hospitals after a non-toxic sanitizer was found in milk cartons in various schools. The school district spokeswoman, Valia Merritt, says that there were over 30 students sent to 2 hospitals in the area after discovering a colorless substance Wednesday morning. The report of the contaminated milk came into the Camden County Police Department at about 9:09 a.m. They did not know how the substance got into the cartons. At least 25 students ingested the milk from a sealed carton with an unidentified substance that had an antiseptic-like odor to it. So far, there are at least 4 schools that have known to be impacted by the milk. Students were hospitalized for examination and were discharged this morning. Parents were informed via website postings and social media messages. The food service team at the school is not serving any liquid dairy products out of caution for the students. School officials have been communicating with the milk company to remove and locate all affected products until the investigation is completed.
Stay tuned. We will be right back.
I can't stop eating sweets, all those wonderful Willy Wonka treats.
You can keep the others.
'Cause me,
I'm a Wonker.
when it comes to candy, Willy's the conqueror, the conqueror. Who can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew, cover it in chocolate and a miracle or two? The Candyman, the Candyman can. Who can take a rainbow, wrap it in a sigh, soak it in the sun and make a strawberry lemon pie? The Candyman, the Candyman, the Candyman can.
The Candyman can.
The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good. The Candyman makes everything he bakes satisfying and delicious. Talk about your childhood wishes, you can even eat the dishes. Nothing for you, Charlie.
Not today. I don't want to spoil my appetite.
It looks like your appetite could use a little spoiling. Here, take one of these. On the house.
Really? Thanks!
Who can take tomorrow? Dip it in a dream. Separate the sorrow and collect up all the cream. The The Candyman. The Candyman can. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love, makes the world taste good.
Thanks for the candy. Oh, and my dad wanted to know if you have a newspaper we could borrow.
Sure, but I'm afraid it's yesterday's paper. Here you go.
Thanks. See ya.
And the world tastes good, 'cause the Candyman thinks it should.
For watching, have a great day, and stay tuned for CNN 10.
And we're looking up on today's show, explaining everything from a no-fly zone to the sky-high cost of rent to the flight of a wayward owl. We begin with money. The U.S. government is committing more of it in support of Ukraine in its continued fight against an invasion by neighboring Russia. Despite what we told you yesterday about hope that Russia might be pulling back from some areas and that there might be a meeting in the works between Russian and Ukrainian leaders, the battle has not let up. In a Ukrainian city where Russia said it would drastically reduce its military activity, the mayor said it was under, quote, colossal attack on Wednesday. Earlier this month, U.S. President Joe Biden signed an emergency spending package for Ukraine worth $13.6 billion. Part of this will send more weapons to the Eastern European country. Part of it supports more U.S. troops in the region, but not in Ukraine itself. Part of it goes to helping Ukrainian civilians and refugees. In the days after signing that package into law, President Biden committed hundreds of millions in additional military assistance to Ukraine, and during a phone call yesterday with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the American leader said another $500 million was on the way. But there are limits to what the Biden administration and America's allies in Europe are willing to do. One of them concerns fighter jets. Ukraine has repeatedly requested more of them to target Russian forces from the air. But Russia has said that the U.S. and its allies would become participants in the war if they gave jets to Ukraine, so they've so far refused to do that. It's a similar situation concerning Ukraine's calls for a no-fly zone.
Говоримо про закриття неба. Не закривати небо над Україною. Небо над нашою державою було закрито.
Since the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on Western governments to close the skies and enforce a no-fly zone over the country. A no-fly zone would put an end to Russia's superior air power, prevent Russian planes from bombarding Ukrainian cities, and let civilians flee the conflict more safely. They've previously been used in Iraq, Bosnia, and Libya. But what is a no-fly zone, and how does it work?
A no-fly zone is typically a UN-mandated aerial peacekeeping operation where a multinational force mounts combat air patrols and surveillance over a country and prevents either side from flying any aircraft. The most basic requirements would be fighter aircraft based at air bases near to but not in the country in question.
But these fighter jets would need to be supported by refueling tankers.
Fighter aircraft typically have about an hour to an hour and a half of fuel. They'll typically be on cap for 2 or 3 hours at a time, so they will require a tanking stop on the way over there. They will require tanking while they're on cap and then tanker to take them back over.
To monitor aircraft in a no-fly zone, you need another kind of plane called Airborne Warning and Control System Aircraft, or AWACS.
An AWACS is the equivalent of turning on a big ceiling light. It enables you to detect and then go and interdict any aircraft attempting to violate the no-fly zone. But of course those tankers and AWACS also then need to be protected, as do the fighters themselves.
This complex and expensive operation is not something that every military is able to provide.
Only the United States has the military capacity to do this. We should be quite clear about what people are asking when they ask for a no-fly zone. What they're asking is for America to militarily secure the skies over Ukraine and others to join them along the way.
A no-fly zone means that you're in a conflict with Russia. So from a U.S. perspective, our position remains that we're not going to do that.
The West is hesitant to introduce a no-fly zone for a couple of reasons. Primarily, of course, the danger of escalation in terms of Russia escalating quickly to tactical nuclear weapons, probably in Ukraine, to force the West to back off. But also, of course, for political reasons, the response internationally to Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been extremely unified.
That unity would likely be shattered if there was any serious attempt to impose a no-fly zone, potentially leading to direct combat between NATO and Russian forces. In fact, a no-fly zone could even play into President Vladimir Putin's narrative.
It would aid the Russians in this sort of post-facto justification that they've been trying to put in place for their invasion, that it was in response to a potential NATO intervention in Ukraine.
So while it's unlikely to happen, there are reasons why President Zelensky and his government keep pushing for a no-fly zone.
They feel that the West needs to be pressured continually to do more, even if they understand that a no-fly zone is very unlikely. Western countries will feel obligated to do more in terms of other forms of aid because they feel bad about continually turning down this no-fly zone.
Hours after President Zelensky addressed the US Congress, President Joe Biden announced an additional $800 million in security assistance to Ukraine.
Ultimately, I think it may be a slightly self-defeating strategy at this point. It is becoming a bit of a drag on people's morale in Ukraine that the West won't do this. And of course, even if you could impose a no-fly zone over all of Ukraine, the vast majority of the damage being done in Ukrainian cities is being done by artillery, which is nothing that a no-fly zone can touch.
As Russia intensifies the offensive over Ukraine, pounding civilians through punishing artillery strikes on several cities, the West has been grasping for alternatives to a no-fly zone, as it refuses a direct confrontation with Russia.
10-second trivia. What is the most common type of roofing material in the U.S.? Rubber, aluminum, asphalt, or slate? Shingles made from asphalt are common and affordable, though they may not last as long as other options. There are several factors behind rising home prices and the record high costs of rent. We're about to show you what they are. The reason this matters is that it contributes to inflation when overall prices go up and your money buys less. This can impact the entire U.S. economy because it's largely based on the goods and services people buy. When it comes to home prices, it's not just about lumber and labor. Practically everything is getting more expensive.
This was nothing as I expected, purchasing my first home.
Allison Braun bought her first home in February. After losing bidding wars and paying $75,000 over budget, she settled on a fixer-upper, expecting to save some money.
It was really surprising getting in here and fixing things up. Overwhelming is another way I'd explain it.
Rents are up a record 17% in the last year, with homes up nearly 20%, and so are construction costs. Braun, who works for the real estate company Redfin, is redoing nearly every space in her home. The kitchen needed new counters.
And we were really surprised by the cost, especially the labor to put them in. We wanted to figure out a way of how we can do our countertops on our own and save cost and labor, so the concrete countertops were born.
But it's not just homeowners getting stuck with higher costs. Construction materials are up 24% in the last year. Bill McGrath's company is installing elevators in this new residential housing complex in New Jersey. So far, they've put in 2.
What are the materials in this elevator that you have seen an increase on?
Well, right here you have the electronics, which this is stainless steel. You have the plastics, the electronic boards behind it, that's costing more. The ceilings, wood, you're standing on lumber, there's steel underneath.
And is all of it going up?
Yeah.
Supply chain slowdowns and demand have pushed construction costs up, forcing projects to come in over budget and over deadline.
How much more is this elevator going to cost than the one we just saw?
We're at, this one here is going to cost 17% more material cost than the other 2 that we completed.
And he says his 18-person company is spending more on gas to bring materials in, up 24% in the last month. All of these rising costs will get passed down.
Teachers, instructors, homeschool parents, if you're not subscribed to our daily newsletter, you're missing out on a free preview of what's in each day's show. To get it, all you got to do is visit our website, cnn10.com, and scroll down to where it says sign up for daily emails. A crime story rates a 10 out of 10. Police could clearly see that after he broke into a house in North Carolina, Steve needed help. This is Steve. He entered a house uninvited through a garage door and hid out in tight places as well as on the kitchen counter. No one would see him there. But someone did. So the Greenville Police Department caught the suspect, had him checked out by Animal Protective Services, and let Steve freely fly back home. His home. So now that he's free as a bird, he's probably having a hoot singing hits like I'm Like a Bird, Snowbird, Freebird, Blackbird, Bluebird, Mockingbird, Fly Like an Eagle, Owl Survive, and my personal favorite, Owl Fly Away. Or maybe, just like a bird set free, all he had to say was see ya. Today we see Manny High School. Thank you for watching from Manny, Louisiana. I'm Carl Azu.